Hi there, Libra. Thank you for joining me for your year 2017 forecast. The year begins with your solar return, and as ever, this focuses on the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is all about your emotional situation, where you live, how you live there, and with whom. But you also have tiny Pluto in this location as well, where it's been for the last 7 years. But Mercury, the planet of communication, is also located in Capricorn at the turn of the year, but is in retrograde. I think this points towards that throughout 2017, your emotional needs, responses, and situation, and any family interactions are probably going to be quite important to your overall situation. But also clarity of communication, which is often so important to an air sign like you, is going to be very much needed because of the retrograde that is affecting Mercury. Mercury in this location, when it tracks backwards, can see us bottle up our emotions. So that's something you will need to avoid throughout the year. However, Venus, your ruling planet, is located in Aquarius as the year begins, which is absolutely super. So if you want to be a little bit more glamorous in your approach, give yourself some touches to your personal appearance in the way that you so successfully often do. Well, this year can really see you turn heads in terms of your dress sense, and your general aura is going to draw a lot of goodnesses to you throughout the year. But Mars, the planet of drive and also instant gratification, is in a very practical part of your horoscope, and it's combining with Neptune. If you work in an area which sees you helping people, and especially those who are less fortunate, this too can be something of a theme right throughout the year. But if you cast your mind back to 2016, there was a square between Neptune and Saturn that went on from mid-May through to mid-October, which may at times seen you become rather drained out by the expectations of others and the obligations that they expected you to fulfill. And I do feel with Mars alongside Neptune, Mars ordinarily in your 6th solar house would give you a real desire not just to make those New Year's resolutions in terms of health and fitness, but actually to keep at it throughout the whole year in terms of being more active and making sure that you're feeling that you're keeping as trim as you possibly can. But Neptune could deprecate your drive at times, see you lose a little bit of motivation. And it could also see you getting a little ground down by always being the good egg. So I think part of the plan for this year for you has got to be in terms of reinforcing your parameters. Now Saturn, the planet of structure, for the last year and a half for you, has been occupying the part of your scope to do with the way you think and the way you speak. Now, Saturn is forging a fantastic angle with Uranus, the planet of opportunities, right through till June this year. And the opportunities for you can come from connecting to people who, in some ways, illuminate your world and can help you to evolve in terms of your value systems. It's also possible that your ideas can bring a lot of enlightenment to other people too. But connecting with people who you find interesting, who switch on your mind, is going to be a vital factor in this first 6 months. Now, Saturn is also forging a superb link with Jupiter. Jupiter is going to be in your sign right through to the 10th of October. Jupiter is all about wonderment. It's about expansion. It's about a slice of fortune. It's about feeling that things can work out for us. It's about faith. And in your own sign, for the first time in 12 years, in starting a year, it's really encouraging you to go for it. And do so with a real appetite for life. But in the first 2 months of this year, it forges a lovely angle with Saturn, which means the things you initiate in the first 8 weeks of 2016, as long as they're well thought through and researched, can see you getting a foothold. You can get momentum and traction around important new strands in your situation. Exciting stuff. Also, because the Sun is forging a great angle to Mars. When these two get together, it can be very motivating, and there can be a real chance that your home is going to be a hive of activity this year. Perhaps you're going to think of working from it, or making some renovations, or moving to somewhere bigger and better, or downsizing if the older kids have flown your nest. But some kind of inspiration may come about from your home. It's not just going to be somewhere you're going to be living. There's going to be some kind of added benefit to your existence within it. Now, with Mars, the power planet at the start of this year, really focusing upon work, health and fitness, once it moves on the 26th of January into your opposite sign, it's really asking you to think more seriously about relationships. Now, if you are single, the angle between Saturn and Uranus is fascinating in the first half year. And this location of Mars from the 26th for 6 weeks is really going to power up your desire to interact with others. And a wonderful lunar eclipse, which occurs on the 11th of February, is just going to help the process, because it's in the sign of Leo, which is all about for you how you network with others. It's also forging a great link with that trio of planets that are located so positively for you in terms of Jupiter, Saturn and Uranus. But talking of Jupiter and Uranus, ironically, they are in opposition over the first 2 months of this year, and this does require a little more care. Jupiter can give us this big buzz of excitement, this sense that anything is possible, and in an opposition with Uranus, this all gets revved up to a new high, but it can see us being very impetuous. Now, sometimes you can analyse things to the point that you don't actually make the forward motion you want, but I think this could actually see you going off in lots of different directions, especially if you are single, and see you attracted to someone who's very different. But whether it would be a lasting relationship is another matter. Fortunately, Saturn is there to provide more of an anchor, and if you can keep the dialogue going and connect with people who do switch on your mind, I feel that's the crucial factor. The attraction and glamour that comes from Venus being in the ace location at the turn of the year and Uranus being opposite Jupiter can add quite a lot of excitement at the start of this year, and particularly when Mars arrives on the 26th for that 6-week stay. Now, this solar eclipse is going to emphasise your health, fitness, dietary issues and anything to do with work, but Neptune is also very important to this as well. If we cast back to the lunar eclipse, which occurred last 16th of September, this also was emphasising the sign of Pisces, but clashed with Mars, which was in your sector of everyday thoughts, just like Saturn is now. And that created a lot of electric energy, which came on the back of the more draining energy that had come from that square between Saturn and Neptune from mid-May through to mid-October. So as you've entered into this new year, the last part of 2016 may have seen work and the demands of work and the draining effect it may have upon you as being a factor that you want to address in 2017, and good for you if so. This solar eclipse is going to give you a great opportunity to grapple with this. But because eclipses work in pairs, this one's working with the lunar eclipse in your 11th house. So on one hand, yes, you can help others, and the 11th house will certainly help you to do that in terms of group situations. Well, where does that leave you, the individual? And I think you just need to draw into yourself a little bit. And perhaps when Saturn goes into a retrograde on the 6th of April, it will help you to do this, because through to the 26th of August, it's going to be travelling backwards. And once more, it can give you a lot of food for thought about your ideas, how you mesh in with others, and also about how you can create a structure which works for you in terms of keeping you stimulated but not leaving you feeling absolutely worn out if you're rushing from pillar to post to juggle all the different plates, spin the different plates that everyone's asking you to do. So there have to be some times when you express how you feel, and that may require you to be less deferential, which can be a Libran trait, and more to the point, but in a way that other people are going to be receptive to. There is a bit of a challenge for you around this from the middle of July through to the middle of August, when Jupiter clashes with tiny Pluto. This suggests there may be something that you really want to go for, but someone close to you could resist it with all their might, and some kind of power battle could ensue. But when Jupiter and Pluto aspects play out, sometimes one person can get what they want, but not necessarily in a way which is good for everyone. So you need to make sure that someone's not manipulating you, but equally you're being considerate of them. Now, the great news is that Saturn and Jupiter are going to reignite their relationship that they had in the first 2 months of the year once more across August and September. If there's something you're really excited about, that you're being enterprising about, that you've clearly worked out and researched, and you want to persuade others through your enthusiasm and also your diligence, other people can be impressed. What you mean is what you say, and you can really have an impact across these months. Also, in September and half of October, Uranus and Jupiter are going to be in opposition again. So it is going to be important to use the energy of Saturn to stay quite grounded and make sure that you're not getting too far ahead of yourself. But there's a fab lunar eclipse which occurs on the 7th of August. And this is in your sister air sign of Aquarius. This is wonderful for you because it feeds into a great angle with Jupiter in your sign. And this is really going to put you on the front foot for the second half of this year. This is you being much more demonstrative. It's coming out of your shell really, because the foundation stones of 2017 were all about the more emotional side of your situation, where you lived and so on. But remember, Venus was glamorous, and this is going to be glamorous central again. Take the initiative. If you're single, the last half of 2017 can be a really significant period. But then there is a solar eclipse in Leo on the 21st, which is forging a great angle to Uranus. So some of what can happen in the second part of this year can really surprise you. Things can just seem to happen as if by fate. But that can be very exciting, especially if you feel that you have got into a little bit of a rut with too much preoccupation with work, demands and obligations. So the second part of this year is going to be so much more playful and enjoyable for you, Libra. But Jupiter does say au revoir to you on the 11th of October. Just before it does, it is going to be clashing in September and the first part of October, once more with Uranus again. But I think this is certainly going to make life quite exciting. It won't be dull. But then once it makes the transit into the sign of Scorpio, what it can bring to you in the last 3.5 months of this year is an improvement in your financial situation. And if you really have had your nose to the grindstone in terms of being very applied as far as work and the security in your situation, this can be something that you'll really enjoy. After all, it's a rare Libran that doesn't really appreciate some of life's luxuries. And whether it's some small treats, calorific goodies, or something more expensive, I do feel that there is going to be an improvement that you're going to really savour. However, that takes us round to December, when Mercury once more is in retrograde, but ironically is alongside Saturn. Saturn is making its last pass in the sign of Sagittarius, because it's going to be leaving and moving into Capricorn on the 20th of this year. This points towards some kind of change around your residency over the next 2.5 years. It could be you're really going to be putting down roots, building an extension on a property, adding to your family, or perhaps there's going to be kids leaving home, kids returning to home. But certainly the home part of your situation will come even more into focus with Saturn's transition. But the conversation you have in the first part of December can be really important. It can be a serious heart-to-heart, but it will clarify exactly where you stand and how you think about something with someone close to you who may not, until that point, have really understood your message as much as you would like. It also could be a time when you renew a car or perhaps buy some kind of fundamental piece of kit to make your life much easier, whether it's a domestic appliance or some kind of new gizmo. This is an exciting year for you, Libra. It does require you to be mindful about your emotional, family and home needs. It does require you to continue to work at the obligations in your situation and also getting fitter and stronger, but also making the most of the more compassionate side of your nature. But with Saturn firing brilliantly with Uranus and Jupiter for much of the year, and also Jupiter in your sign, encouraging you to be enterprising, and some brilliant eclipses for you, you can dazzle people with your personality too, to great effect. Thank you for joining me. If you want to watch your weekly or monthly forecast, please join my channels every week. Goodbye, good luck for now.